Hi, this is Abul Hussain coming to you direct from London, the United Kingdom, and welcome to another episode of the SMMA Mastermind podcast, where we talk about how you can start or scale a digital marketing agency. Now, if you are watching this episode outside of our Facebook group, make sure to find the link above or below this video, or go to smmamastermind.com, especially if you're in the agency community and you want to network with 2,500 other like-minded individuals. Enough of that. I have a very special guest joining me who is also actually in London, probably like a 10-minute drive up. He is billed as the greatest copywriter alive. To work with him, you will need to put up about $100,000. His
And
name
that's
is
if I'm taking you on. That's only if I'm taking you on.
and his name is Adil Amarsi. Adil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Abul. Good to have you here. I'm
Thank
just
you very
going to
much.
clear this up. Like, I don't just like I stopped writing for clients fairly recently, so that's my new fee. But I do consult, so that's actually what I get paid to do most of the time is I get to consult on
Awesome.
projects,
Awesome.
which we'll
So for the
discuss later.
people, who don't know who you are, who have never seen you, how
Yeah.
about a little bit of an introduction? How did you become the greatest copywriter alive, I suppose?
Well, as much as I love that moniker, like there is a few others, but that's actually the name of the website that we'll be building to actually help other people's education center. But what I was going to say was, so my background is I started out writing copy when I was about 12. For my dad, there's a whole backstory on how I learned to sell. When my dad had a herniated disc for 2 years when I was like 5, 6, and 7 years old, like for that 2-year period, and he kept watching sales shows like the QVC Home Shopping Channel. I used to like watch pitchmen tell me how to sell from a very young age. So like my destiny in sales was kind of almost pre-written in that sense. At 12 years old, I started, I got told by my teachers, and my parents got told by my teachers, I write very, very slowly. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and that while I have creative ideas, I have a hard time translating them from my mind to paper. And I need to start seeing if I can do that quicker. So cue my dad, who was able to walk at this point, tell me to go work at his company where, write about what we were doing. And I would do that for about a year. My parents separated for a year, and then they got back together like the year after my parents separated, and then they got back together 2 years later. But in that time, my school commute went from 30 minutes a day, maybe 40 minutes a day, like walking there and back at school because I grew up in a place called Leicester, to 2 hours a day. So I'd have to take I'd have to take two buses in the morning and two buses at like after school just to make my commute to school every day. So during that time, I spent a lot of time by myself. So what I would do is I'd still write stories. I'd still write music. I'd still draw. I'd basically explore every creative avenue my brain would let me have. I mean, up until this point, I gave up artwork and drawing because of an art teacher that really rubbed me the wrong way. So I kind of like focused all my attention to writing poetry and understanding. And unfortunately, my handwriting looked like doctor speech. So it was like chicken scratch everywhere. Fast forward to like the time I'm 18 years old. I've been doing Thai boxing for a while at this point. My instructor pulls me aside, is like, "Hey, listen, you're turning 18. I've got this business idea, this network marketing company. I think you should join." We joined the first one. I wasn't a fan. I joined the second one. It was self-development, and I crushed that one. I absolutely loved writing for that one and like selling it and pitching it. Fast forward to me going to a seminar. Of course, I've been writing all these years and stuff like that, handing stuff to my dad, just doing little bits and pieces here and there and everywhere. I go to the seminar. I make friends with some of the speakers. I go back to the next seminar, but as a crew. So I go in as crew now. So I actually go into check in and go behind the green screens and talk to the speakers and see how they're doing. And you realize they're just very normal, fun people to talk to. And I made friends with a lot of them at this point. I think they took a shining to me because I was 18 at the time, 18, 19
Right.
years old at the time, like barely out of
Full
the
of
thing.
energy.
Yeah, and I was like, open-minded and wanted to do stuff. So they put me to task and they asked me, "What are you good at? What are you bad at?" I said, "I'm terrible at traffic." Like, "Okay, but what are you good at?" And I was like, well, I had 10 people check out my website and I had 7 people give me money to join my network marketing company. And I know that's terrible." And they just looked at me and went, "Whoa, you're a copywriter. That's what you do. Go do that. People pay $10,000 to go do that skill. Go out there and pitch." And I was so scared because I thought I couldn't sell. And I was like, fine, whatever. I started studying copywriting because prior to that, like 12 months prior to this event happening, I'd come across Frank Kern's 4-Day Cash Machine, Mass Control, and
Oh, yeah.
also John Carlton through Frank Kern. So I was actually learning how to write copy that way, but I didn't know that I was able to call myself one.
Right.
Because in my head, I was like, no, you need 1,000 people to actually see if you're any good. And I was like, I've done it in 10. I'm like, favors and whatever. So in my head, I was like, yeah, it's not that great. Fast forward from the time I'm 18. So I come back home, I speak to my dad. And my dad basically says to me, like, my dad thought I was wasting my time at the seminar. So I told him, no, I think I found what I want to do. He goes, oh, what's that? I was like, I want to be a copywriter. And he's like, what's that? I was like, someone that writes advertising that sells. And I was like, oh, I think I know exactly what it is that you're looking for. Wait here. Goes upstairs, pulls down this black file from the attic and gives it to me. He goes, read this. First ad, this seems familiar. Second ad, seems familiar. Third ad, I'm like, this, Dad, why am I reading these old ads for your company? Why do they seem familiar? He goes, oh, you wrote these. I was like, what? He goes, remember all the stories you used to write? I was like, yeah. We put them together, gave it to our guys. The guys in the office put it together, and we put this mailer out, and that's basically how we were growing.
Right.
So you've pretty much got a gift for this. Keep going. And this is one of the very few times my dad was supportive at this point. I like to remind him he said this because, like, in the years that followed, there was a lot of conversation of get a real job. You should do this. For years, for literally years, up until I was like 29, my dad wouldn't stop doing this. And it's only in the last 2-3 years that he kind of backed off. And I'm very glad that my dad, my father passed away in January this year. And one of the things I can say that I'm very proud about and happy about is when my dad did pass, even though we had our own issues, I do know he was proud of me. And more importantly, I know that he was happy to see me make it as a copywriter because it took me years to get here. I spent so much time focusing on the craft of copy because my big gripe with the industry is there are so many people, as you said, that come and go, I'm a copywriter, and the year later, I'm a funnel builder. And it's like, I'm a graphic designer. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing? Like, you've not gone deep enough to call yourself any of these.
Right.
Like me, I call myself a copywriter because that's what I am at my core. But I'm a business strategist. I'm a funnel builder. I can tell you right now, the guy that created the funnel that everyone uses, you know, the tripwire, the upsell, the Slack, whatever. The guy that created that, guy called 𝗘𝗣𝗆𝗁, I have a testimonial from him saying that if there's anyone on earth that I trust to write funnel copy with an excellent narrative, it's Adil Amarsi. I taught him personally.
That's amazing.
So there's testimonials. Like, it's funny because I was talking to one of my copywriting mentees today, and my business partner in it was, he asked me if I saw the sales video that we did for it. I was like, I didn't get a chance to. He goes, please go watch it. I was like, why? He goes, I pulled all that information from like 6 podcasts, your LinkedIn profile, and your website. I was like, really? He goes, I know you. We did a show together. I know stuff about you. I've spoken to you a couple of times. Because when I was researching you, I was sat there going, how the hell do I know this guy? Because it was like, he goes, the level at which you run is so different.
Right.
So that's what I mean. I focused down on copy until I got good, and then I started to market from that.
Nice. That's a great background story there. So what kind of copy are you generally writing? Is it for a specific niche or
No.
No?
I've so a lot of people tell you niche down. I don't. I'm kind of from the old school. So 𝗘𝗼𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁. 𝗘𝗏𝗏 was a client of mine up until, like, was a client. He's a very good friend. So is his daughter. But I was gonna say, yeah, one of the rules that I have with it is you've got to be able to write for as much or anything as possible, because copywriting is adaptable. It's selling. It's like saying to you, sell paper to me, and you say, I'm a great salesperson. I'm the best copywriter around. All right, sell me in like how many markets have you written for? And I ask people this because I have cocky ass copywriters coming out the woodwork every single day going, I'm the best. I'm the one. I can do this. I'm like, how many markets have you written for? I was like, how many markets have you written for?
Right.
Because if I gave my stats on this, I've written for like 420 different markets right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's
now, you mentioned
a lot of different
𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗁 there.
industries.
I'm not going to just let you slip his name in and not talk a bit more about 𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗁. What's the connection there? You're friends with him, one of the most
He's a client of mine.
marketers alive.
He's one of my clients. He's one of my former clients.
Right.
I actually wrote for him.
How did you connect with him?
I got connected to him through a friend of mine called Jeff Mills, who I will always wait, was it Jeff? No, Jeff Moore. Sorry, not Jeff Mills. Different guy entirely. I got connected through Jeff Moore. Shout out to Jeff out in San Diego. Thursday night boardroom. Jeff basically was saying that Jay was looking for a copywriter, and he was like, I couldn't think of anyone better but you. But you got to impress. You can't just show up half-assed. You got to impress.
Right.
I showed up. I don't half-ass anything. Nailed the conversation with the CEO, which is of course Jay's daughter, and she's the one that makes the final decision. Michelle, absolutely amazing. Love her to pieces. Michelle basically gave me one of the greatest compliments ever I got like a couple of months after working with them, Michelle looked at me and she said, she goes, it's really hard for people to get my dad's brain, but I think you're one of the, she was like, you think exactly like my dad does. Like you and my dad have very similar brain. I was like, that's a compliment for the, and so how that happened was I got introduced, I passed the test, and then I wrote. Unfortunately, we didn't mail, like it never actually got mailed out, which is fine. But it's there. And if it ever does get mailed out, we'll see whether or not it does. But I know it was an opportunity that was worth working with Jay.
Right.
And,
No,
like, the company itself.
That's amazing. So I suppose, a lot of people who watch our show, they are digital marketers and they're small business owners. So I suppose their direct connection to copy might be with writing copy for a Facebook ad or something on the landing page. When you're writing copy, is that primarily for direct mail, or do you do copy for ads, I think online ads?
Oh, I work all. Bro, I work both. I grew up in this online digital space. Like, to give you an idea, I've been here ever since 2008. So I've been here since Frank Cohn launched Mass Control 2.0. That was my first launch I took part in.
Well, let's talk about some tips then, because obviously I'm sure you've seen some appalling ads out there. I
God, I'm just allergic to shitty ads. So allergic to them.
Every other ad I see is from a coach or a consultant or someone selling some sort of a course. Some copy is great, others are like all
most of it sucks.
Yeah.
So and I can say that because I was going to say, I actually work with coaches and consultants primarily. Like I work with personal branded businesses. That's specifically the audience I like to serve because my consulting seems to make the biggest impact to them, which is brilliant. But the problem that people have is that they're running the same fucking story over and over again. Excuse my language, but they are. It's really irritating. It's essentially what you're running is, I was poor, my life was shitty, now it's great again. We've all heard this. Come up with a new story, Brenda.
Right.
Like, I only say Brenda because, like, I just realized as soon as I said it, I was like, shit, I have a friend called Brenda. I hope she doesn't get mad about this. But not that Brenda. She's pretty awesome. She's unique in her own way. But what I'm getting at here is that there's just so many better ways. Like, study movies. Go watch a movie. Look at how many different genres of movies there are. Stop making yours the sad one. How about writing a sales letter that's all about action and high tension and how you do things? Or how about a horror story that's an actual horror story where there's jump scares and terrifying twists and turns that basically gets your reader to come out with you on a journey of unparalleled thinking? These are all different ways of doing it. So if you're running Facebook ads right now, keep up to mind with what's going on. Shorter Facebook ads and video are killing it right now in 2021.
Right.
But you got to be able to get your point across. Also, for the love of God, get rid of the word learn from your goddamn vocabulary. Okay, I've preached on about this for 10 damn years right now. That word is goddamn insidious to you. The word learn, literally, it's not because you got to do shit. The word learn literally tells your brain to think about a time when it was in pain. Do you know why? Abul, I'll ask you right now. Do you like school?
No.
If I sent you back to school today, would you redo it?
No.
Does that cause you pain and anxiety?
Of course.
Okay, even worse off, imagine if I sent your consciousness back to 14-year-old Abul at school with the same bullies. How'd that go?
Oh, yeah. Forget it. I'm not going back to school. Don't need to learn.
So you're telling people to go do the one thing that causes them pain, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's the reason I'm not really into. To give you an idea, I gave one of my clients, 𝗘𝗆𝗆𝗁, shout out to her. I told her to change this one word in all her copy. She ran the launch. She 10x'd her conversion rate.
What did she use instead of learn?
Discover, uncover, reveal. Those are 3 easy words that you can actually fill in with.
Right.
Don't use words like teach either. Teach is another school word. Say the words like show. Show is a great word because you're taking someone on a journey with you.
Sure. But
there are so many different ways of running your avenue. So I'll give you an idea. If you want to run the classic nightmare story, it's like, here's how my life was before and here's how it is after. Classic. If you want to find other ways of doing it, how about this? If you don't have a nightmare story, you essentially say, you don't have a nightmare story. You have something good in your life. Like you were the best of the best from the get-go. You are LeBron James. You came out hard.
Yeah.
How do you market that? How do you market your greatness? Because everyone's telling you got to have a nightmare story.
True.
No, what you can do, even me, I have a whole thing where it's like, know where you came from and know where you're going. It's a perfect framework, but you don't have to keep the nightmare there. Your defeat doesn't have to be horrible and like a nightmare. Your defeat could literally be a changing point.
Right.
So for instance, let's say you're the greatest at what you do. You are the #1 life coach in the world, whatever it is. You're ready to go out there. You're ready to change lives. You're a hypnotherapist at whole different levels. You've learned every technique under the sun. How do you get your story out there? And by the way, you've had a good life. Your parents have loved you. You've actually have zero anxieties whatsoever. You've got incredible self-confidence. Life is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
How do you market that? Simple. You tell the truth.
But then
You
others
literally
will say, well, you need people to resonate with your rags to riches story, right? They need to know that you are homeless. Everyone's fucking homeless, right? On click.
But I was going to say, no, but here's my thing. Why? Why do I have to resonate with your shittiness? How about I inspire you to be me?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why the reason I love Keanu Reeves as an actor? People
Why?
call him wooden. The reason I love Keanu Reeves as an actor, the man literally forces you, the everyday average person, to walk into the mask of his character so you can adapt yourself to what he's going through.
Yeah.
Like, you become that character. That's the reason why he's so goddamn good at what he does. He's made some shitty movies, but he's made some excellent movies as well. Guy's amazing. But anyway, going back to it, how do you do this if, like, you don't have a rags to riches story and you've had an amazing life? Well, here's a simple way. How about a simple headline could be, if you're finding yourself stuck, unable to feel, if you find yourself stuck in your own way and unable to get past the bullshit resistance that you've given yourself, then read every word below. In a moment, I'm going to share with you how I uncovered the one secret my parents left me that will now help you moving forward.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you to have a rags to riches story like anyone else out there. I don't. I was highly blessed to have two amazing parents that are still alive to this very day that taught me the very secrets of success. They taught me the foundations of what I need to build. And I can tell you, as a living testament of 38 years old, or 31 years old, my parents have absolutely given me every single advantage I needed mentally, physically, and financially to get to where I'm at today. But they only supported me until I was 18. After that, I was the bird that was kicked out of the nest that either had to learn how to fly or it would die. Thankfully, I learned how to fly and I built an empire around me using the lessons my parents gave me. Now, as I said, I'm not here to tell you about a rags to riches story. If you're someone that's going through a situation right now, I've got good news for you. If you're someone that's killing it at the top level, wants to go to another level, I have good news for you. Or if you're somewhere in the middle and you're just sick and tired of all the bullshit, I have even better news for you. But before I get into that, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Bradley James Valmont Scott III. Bam. Go into the whole conversation of how you basically had an amazing set of parents that basically gave you every single aspect that you needed, and then you start distilling the information, the wisdom they gave you backwards to the audience and how it applies to them universally, and then say, by the way, what I've done is I've taken all these principles. You can use them if you want. You can opt in, get it for free from my main website, but they are completely useless unless you know they are not 100% useful. They are 98% useful. But they're missing the spark. The spark is exactly what I provide in my program or in my one-on-one consulting or my one-on-one coaching or my group coaching or whatever it is. Sign up. Do you see how easy it is to take a story like that
You
and
just
just run with
improvised
it?
there, right? I mean,
That's 100% improvised.
wow. No, that's great. I totally love that format. Now, a second ago, you're saying though, the zeitgeist at the moment is video and short copy. So in the spirit of kind of writing short copy, how short should short copy be?
I always leave it this way. So short copy and long copy and stuff like that is always down to Winston Churchill's old quote, and I think it's the best one to describe it. It is sexist, so whatever, you guys can get mad at me, but it's a quote. I'm quoting direct here. It's basically it shouldn't be longer than it should be long enough to cover this. It should be like a woman's skirt, long enough to cover. Short enough? Long enough to cover the details and short enough to keep your attention.
Right.
So basically, if you're running an ad, don't do like a long ass Facebook post. You can, but essentially, as long as you can get your points to them, like right across and put them into a video, so much easier. Like, I'll give you an example. Same person, Bradley Scott James III, whatever it is. It could be the headline, the copy to that above the body copy to it would be, what's it called? My parents left me a secret that guaranteed I would make the most out of my life. Watch the videos. I'm going to share it with you now.
Right.
Done. Simple. Easy. Headline to that is I'm going to share. The headline to that is watch the video above to find out more. ... Underneath the description to it would be what was it? 7-minute video describes parental guides on success or something like that.
Right.
And then just have the video run.
Okay.
And again, by the way, I'm improvising the shit out of all of
No,
this.
you are, and it's still great, right? I mean, it sounds a lot better than most of the ads I see out there. They were talking about they were gamer and they had an addiction, or they were homeless. Everyone's bloody homeless, especially in the ClickFunnels group, trying to sell their own shit. Now, they used to say free is the most powerful word that you could use in copy. Is that still true? I mean, I see it being used all the time. So is
It's the
the
same.
effectiveness still the same?
It's effective, but you got to do it in the right context.
Right.
It's not like how it used to be. Like sex is like a shock word. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like free shock word. No, it's not that level anymore.
Right.
You got to find your spot. So the way that I use free is quite simple. Is I use different ways of saying free, like at no extra charge, completely complimentary. You can use free such as enter your name and email address below to get access to my free guide. You don't make it a big deal. You just write it in like regular text, and it kind of like doesn't trip up the subconscious brain of going, scam or whatever it is. Free, they want something. It doesn't trip any of that stuff up because it just becomes very normal, everyday conversation. It doesn't stand out, which is sometimes what you want. The other word is secret. Everyone freaking uses the word secret. But again, as long as you don't draw attention to it and let it be subtle, it still sinks in. When it's attentive and loud, people ignore it.
Yeah. No.
Think of it as the big disruptive kid at school.
Yeah. It's disruptive for a while, and then you're like, sod it,
Yeah, you just kind of like tune them out. But then say they quieten down and you don't hear that, you can't tune them out anymore because there's nothing to tune out.
Yeah.
And then they come sit next to you and they start having a conversation with you. Now you can't tune them out and you can't move them away.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So final question for you really here, because we're very quickly running out of time, and I have a feeling we can go on for hours here.
I would more than happily stay on for longer if you want me to. But
we will come back and we will probably do another episode at some time with a bit more structure in terms of copywriting and your skills and what you can impart. Now, someone who's watching this and they want some practical tips, in terms of writing effective copy. If you were to just kind of say, this is my checklist, what do they need to check on?
I have a checklist. I actually have a checklist that is a product that we have with us. But I was going to say, when is this airing? Just so I'm aware.
Next week.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's... Yeah, week. Okay, so what we're going to do is, guys, I don't have a resource guide up and ready yet, but I will say please head on over to greatestcopywriteralive.com and bookmark that page because we go live in April. That's my cat. He says hello. We go live in April because that is going to be your greatest repository, better than any checklist I can give you, better than any course you could possibly take, because I am going to be leaving it all on that page. To give you an idea, one of the very first articles I've written on that is nearly 3,000 words long, and it's completely based on headlines alone.
Wow.
So it goes in depth with multiple examples of what you can do and how you can use it for multiple niches as well.
Right. Okay. And I suppose in terms of, okay, you can have a checklist, but what are the core components of a...
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, brilliant. That's a better question. So brilliant components that you can put together for great copy are, I'm going to give you the structure first, and I'm going to give you the elements, because structure and elements are two different things. You need a headline. You need a strong opening story that is real. None of this bullshit fake stuff. Find your real story. Do the work. Followed up by, you need your offerings, testimonials, if you have any, a strong close, and then you've got your delivery on the back end, including any guarantees and so on and so forth. Now, what you need to actually have inside those areas as kind of elements to fill them in with is a good story. Have a good story. And by good story, I mean, don't be lazy. Don't follow everyone. Find out what your truthful one is. If you're having a hard time, reach out to me on Instagram. We'll have a chat about it, or reach out to anyone else I can possibly think of, like 3 people that would kill it. You can also Google how to write my own core story. It's fairly easy to do.
Right.
Up until I release this freaking document, they'll actually let everyone just figure out the core story in seconds or in minutes. That's 1. 2. So stories number 1. Number 2, that you can actually really come up with effective copy is don't pussyfoot around on the close. Actually get good at asking people for money. Tell them what to do. People like direction. It shows confidence. Be confident in what you're doing. 3, key element number 3, become the student of your market. Essentially, I want you to be able to be I want you to be able to read people in your industry. The moment someone says an indicator that's like, yeah, my day was going real bad today. Like, I don't know, just It was a roller coaster of a day. The moment you hear that, I want your brain to like signal and you're like, right, that person's my dude. He needs my offer and needs my help. Or that woman needs my help. Right, I'm going to go help. I'm going to go speak to them, have a conversation. So that's two. Because if you have that in mind, you become astute and studious of your audience. When it comes down to writing it, you'll know exactly what language they use, what patterns they use, and more importantly, what makes them buy, what their emotional drivers are and drainers. Number three, because I like to do things in three. Number three, become, as I said, well, did I do number three? Yeah, I did number three. Close, mindset. Yeah, so there's three things right there. And the best way to actually do number three is read a crap load of good books. We have a minute left. I'm going to give you a recommendation of three of the best books you can ever pick up when it comes around to copywriting and thinking about it. Number one, John Carlton's Kick-Ass Secrets of a Marketing Rebel. You can pick it up for $20 on his website or Google it. It's absolutely brilliant. One of the best books and investments you'll find on understanding the bare core concepts of copywriting.
It can go on for a bit longer than a minute, by the way. Don't rush it through.
Oh, no, well, don't. It's all good. Number two, what was it? The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. One of my favorite books ever written. Get the Audible version. It's 28 hours long. Get the printed version. Mark that shit up. But essentially, take the key points that you need to the point where it is, because he really does show you how to actually market to the audience. And sorry, I keep looking around. My cat's running around somewhere.
No, that's totally
anyway, and number three, most powerful book that can actually give anyone to really understand how to get better at writing advertising isn't actually an advertising book at all. Because I wanted to give you guys a non-fictional, an advertising, and then one that would just throw you the fuck off. And here it is. If you like detective novels, pick up a book called Chris Carter, The Crucifix Killer. The Crucifix Killer by Chris Carter is one of the best books I've read on detectives and crimes and novels. Because it's gruesome. It's not for the faint of heart, but it will get you gripped. You will not put it down. You will keep reading. If you can't handle that, look at the Jack Reacher novels by Lee Collins, I think it is, or look at anything by Stephen King. Essentially get hooked, or even J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter books, or even the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings books. Basically, read good literature and look at how those stories make you feel. How do those stories make you feel? What emotions do they bring up? And then reverse engine, like go through it, like finish the book, but mark down where it was those emotional points came in. After you've gone through it once, go back to it, write down what that emotion was, figure out why you felt it, and then start implementing that into your advertising, because that's how you make people feel. Feeling is how you sell.
No, that's a whole lot of great tips there. Now, if someone wants to reach out to you, where's the best place to find you? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it your website?
Instagram's probably your best bet to find me, which is Adil Amarsi, because it's my personal one. Soon, we've also got Greatest Copywriter Alive. Both our channels are building. Greatest Copywriter Alive right now. It's just a quiet Instagram page that's going to start getting built over the next couple of weeks, months, and so on and so forth. But follow me on Adil Amarsi and hit me up. Just send me a quick message, say, hey, you'll hear from Abul and from the show, and we can chat. That'll be fun. We can get talking.
Awesome. On that note, Adil Amarsi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.